This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 562 of the Eventing Radio Show, brought to you by the Eventing Writers Association of North America. The Eventing Radio Show crew is out and about gathering intel for upcoming episodes, so sit back and enjoy this previously aired masterpiece from 2018.
This week we have Hallie Coon talking about Pau and her summer adventure, and we have super groom Emma Ford talking about winter care with clipping, blanketing, and winter feeding. This is Max Corcoran in beautiful, sunny, next to perfect unbelievableness in sunny, gorgeous Ocala, Florida.
And this is Joe, and Max, you've just said it all because it is perfect here. And you are listening to the Eventing Radio Show. Well, Max, now that you're back here and people are arriving and it's so amazing, and I'm sure everybody gets sick of us going on and on about this. But what has happened, listeners, is that everybody else in the rest of the world in the northern hemisphere is starting to get cold, and we are now in our absolute perfect weather. It is it's 82, which is 28 degrees, no humidity at all, nice cool breeze, completely sunny, not a cloud in the sky, and that is just the beginning of our winter, which is the end of our fall, which is just absolutely unbelievable, and especially as we've had such a long, hot, wet, humid summer down here. We're all very, very excited, aren't we, Max?
Oh, it's perfection. It doesn't get too cold at night. The horses are out at night. They're happy. Everybody's just happy. It is dark in the morning though, Joe. It's still pretty dark, but it is something else. It is such a beautiful.
Yeah, it is dark, and we've got the Rocking Horse fall show coming up this year, and it's one of those strange ones which you go to and you arrive and it's still dark, and it only just gets light by the time you get on and ride to the dressage. Okay, and it's the one day of the year that happens because daylight savings kicks in the following day.
You get to gain an hour of sleep.
This Sunday. Yeah. But they were going to keep daylight saving all year round in Florida, Max. That's what we thought was going to happen, but it didn't. Yeah, but it didn't end up getting through the government or the Senate or the whatever it is. I'm not quite sure who has to.
Probably the state. Yeah.
But everybody, that's what they wanted down here. They wanted to keep daylight saving all year round, which would have meant dark mornings for us, but a little bit more to do in the afternoons.
Yeah.
But I don't know what people think about that. I just didn't really want a whole winter of being dark, and we got to get up every weekend, don't we?
That's the thing too, is that we do most of our crap in the morning, don't we? Just to get it light and get the day going. Yeah. That'll be tough.
So
a bit rough.
Yeah, but so so clocks change on the weekend, and we are starting to get ready for our big event of the year, which is the OJC, Ocala Jockey Club.
I think we have 100. As of yesterday morning, we had 125 entries, which is great. Yeah. There are 60 in the 1-star and 35 in the 2-star and 13 in both the CCI and the CIC 3-star each.
And I think there probably will be more because I don't think my horses are on the list yet. So, that's good, and interesting to see. There's a good split in the CCI and the CIC.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think a lot of people, because Fair Hill is a very tough 3-star, and this is actually a very nice. It's it'll be competitive, but it won't be as difficult as Fair Hill 3-star. So it's nice to have another option for these horses.
Yeah, well, that's right. It won't. Who knows what it will be? It might not be as difficult. The ground's going to be a bit more forgiving, and the weather certainly will be a lot more forgiving. But it is the first year, and it can sometimes goes to both either way on the first year. No, they don't necessarily make it horrendously hard when you're first putting on your first one. But it's a new course, and some people aren't very good at riding new courses. So we'll just have to see how that happens.
Exactly. Yeah. And for everybody, we got in Ocala. If anybody here is in Ocala next Wednesday on the 7th, Mardanza is having a schooling jumping show to raise money for the Liz Cochran Grooms Award. that we tried to give to a groom. It's given to a groom every year that's a member of the Eventing Riders Association of North America, and it's a $5,000 prize, which is pretty friggin' awesome. It's pretty life-changing for us. And we're just trying to keep the award going. Liz was a friggin' amazing groom that worked for Abigail Lufkin, and she was just an incredible human and died of cancer. God, she was early 40s, way too early. But so the award is in her memory, and we're trying to raise some money. So Mardanza, if you go on Facebook and look under Mardanza Farm, or I think I have it under my Max Corcoran horse care website as well. I think a lot of people have put it up around. It's I think it's. Oh, I'm probably going to get the pricing wrong, so I'm not going to say anything about it. But they've got everything from novice straight up through advanced, and it's really nice Worley Martin footing, and it's beautiful jumps. And Chris Bernard, who is the course designer at Jockey Club, is course designing. So everybody just show up, write a big check, feel good about yourselves. It's the time of giving.
Yep. It is. Well, it's getting close to that time of giving, but it's a really really good cause.
Yeah. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. And Joe, how about let's talk about someone from the other side of the world. How about Winx?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I think she's probably now got to be the greatest racehorse that's ever gone on a track in history, in the world, ever. To our listeners who don't know who Winx is a 7-year-old mare. She has won 29 consecutive races on the trot, 10 Group 1 races, 4 Cox plates, and which is weight for age. And so obviously, they get more weight as they get older and things. And really just, I don't know the whole stats, Max, but every now and then I've watched a few of her races, and sort of out of nowhere, she just comes flying.
Yeah, she's sort of second to last coming around the last. She's way in the back, comes around that turn, starts to make her move, and she gets down that stretch and is like a bolt of lightning. Just like cruises on and wins by 2 to 3 lengths every time.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
It's ridiculous. So listeners, check it out. Google it. WINX, Winx. She's amazing.
Just absolutely amazing. She did a gallop at in New Zealand. I think my brother was there. I haven't even spoken to him about it, but they sort of just did one of those ones where you. What's it called? I can't even remember the word, Max.
Like an exhibition or a...
Exhibition gallop.
There you go.
Yeah, exhibition gallop is what she did. So I think they all got to go. But she's now become one of the greatest racehorses of all time. One more than any horse ever. More races on the trot, more than Far Lap, Frankel, any of those good horses, makes a Triple Crown winner look like a pup, really.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, to try and put it in perspective. So it is really amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So, I'm sure you can see them on YouTube and stuff. But if you want to see an out-and-out absolute champion, have a look at her, WINX. So, Max,
how was Chad Hills this weekend?
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good and bad. I missed a jump.
Oh,
I missed a jump on Little Buccaneer, and he was having his first advanced, and luckily it was really close to the end of the course.
Oh, wow.
And I only had like 3 jumps to go, and they let me show jump the next day and things like that. But I was kind of a bit annoyed with myself, and I can imagine, everybody was smiling and saying, oh, well, these things happen, but I could sort of read between the lines. I wasn't the most, but it was my birthday, so they didn't get after me too much.
Yes.
But
was it your first time around or your second time around?
It was first, Max. Don't worry.
Because if it was your second time around, I was really going to have to have a moment.
I know. Yeah. So unfortunately, it happens, and you've got to look on the bright side and say, well, at least it happened before the Jockey Club, and
that's true. You didn't do it then.
So, but it was good because Chat Hills put on an advanced class last minute. Well, not last minute, but sort of, it wasn't advertised.
Oh, the calendar. Yeah.
They put it on because the riders asked for it, because if you have a bit of a look through the calendar, it's not really set up for people that want to go to the Ocala Jockey Club.
No, it's not right now. Yeah.
There is a really good run at Stableview, but for us people that are down in the south, Stableview caught me out a little bit this time. It was my first big run back, and it was kind of, I probably needed one before I went. So yeah, I mean, down in the south now, they're starting to put a few more advanced on for us. I think there might be an advanced at the Ocala next year as well. I'm not quite sure.
Yep, but I think that was the word. Yep. Yeah,
it's just really cool because it just gives us lot who suffer the summer down here something more to do, and we don't have to travel so far to get our runs in and do things if we're getting ready for the Jockey Club. And what it will do is give us so much more scope, with
absolutely.
The fact that there's Fair Hill and there's the Jockey Club. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where you've got 3 or 4 3-star horses, which seems unbelievable here, but it happens in England all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
It gives you the scope to be able to go, and then you'll be able to choose which ones you want to do. And Jockey Club's fantastic because it's got the CIC 3-star, and so if you lost a little bit of fitness and you just wanted to do the CIC, you can still do that. And
right.
So, but yeah, no, it was great. Chat Hills is fantastic. Footing was absolutely unbelievable.
Good.
Yeah, quite a lot of rain. Well, unbelievable, except if you ask my working student Lindsay Carrigan, who was riding an old Sanskrit, who went round a corner and he slipped over, which was a bit. But he's barefoot.
Yeah.
And so green and so young that she got up and said, "Well, I'm not allowed to carry on." And I was screaming, "Get back on, get back on." And the TD came up, Wayne Coles, and said, "No, you can carry on." So she got back on and only had eight time faults, and he was perfect.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, no, the footing was absolutely fantastic, and the courses were brilliant, and it was just run over the 2 days. It was all fast and furious. I was finished my cross country by 11:30 on the first day, and then we just show jumped the horses and we jumped in the trailer and we headed home.
Perfect.
So yeah, no, it was great. It was really, really good. I can't remember who won everything. Probably Tammy Smith again. Yes, she did. She won the the advanced class. I'm not quite sure about all the rest.
Won some preliminary, maybe a training. She's greedy. She just keeps winning stuff.
Well, yeah.
Hogging blue ribbons. Not very nice.
So no, it was great. It was great. It was really, really good. So like I said before, we got Rocking Horse coming up this weekend, and then we have a weekend off, and then it's the Jockey Club. So
yeah. Bring it.
There's a lot of people down here, Max, now. Have you noticed that?
I know. My goodness. I mean, it's suddenly, it went from being kind of quiet to the rest of the world already arriving for this. Yeah. I don't know if it's for this event or if it's, people are pretty happy to be down here. But this is the best time of year to be down here. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are coming down here. People are coming earlier because there's more events and more to do, I suppose. We had the pop show 2 weekends ago, which we all dressed up in fancy dress and things, and there was 200 entries in a schooling show.
Yes.
So like that. There's a lot going on, and there's been some great horse sales. The phone's been ringing, people wanting to come in to look at horses and things. So it's great. So. Good. Hopefully it'll go all flat out and then quiet down for Christmas and we get a little break before.
Well, it's nice that we don't have that early January horse trials anymore. That it's now like it's the second week, but it's still, at least it's not the first, or it's the third week technically, I guess, but it's not the first or second week, because I feel like when we used to have those horse trials, sort of the 5th and 6th of January, it just never you just never got to let down, did you?
No, you didn't, and so I've already got my ski trip to Colorado booked, Max. I'm out there. I'm like
Nice.
I'm going to be away from my horses for a week or two. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, Max, we probably should get on with our show. We've got quite a bit to get through. But first, we'll have a listen to our sponsor at Bit of Britain.
here from the Horse Radio Network, and I'm here with Cassie from Bit of Britain for this week's Product of the Week.
Well, Jen, today we're talking about the latest in fine bridle work from None Finer. There are 2 new offerings available, the Verona Bridle and the Florence Bridle. Continuing the tradition of the Bellissimo collection, these bridles are crafted from rich and supple Italian leather with attention to detail that is second to none. Both bridles have fancy stitched brow bands and nose bands in the wider style that is currently popular in the show ring. Each bridle features an inlaid padded crown for the horse's comfort, as well as a softly padded brow band and nose band. These bridles are the complete package with matching raised and fancy stitched laced hook stud reins, all in dark Havana leather. The Florence bridle features a regular buckle nose band, while the Verona bridle has a crank nose band.
And don't forget to follow Bit of Britain on Facebook. Just go to Facebook and type in Bit of Britain. And for those who are spelling challenged, it's Britain. Thanks a bunch, Cassie.
Joining us now is Hallie Coon. Hi, Hallie. How's it going?
Hi, Joe. Hi, Max. Good. How are you?
Yeah, we are great. Hallie, you've had we last talked to you back in, I think, April, and you were sort of making noises about heading off to Bramham, and since then a whole lot of stuff has happened. You went out to England, and you've stayed there forever, and you've just done your 4-star at Pau. So tell us a little bit about that whole journey in your summer.
Oh, wow. Well, so I headed over to England. I think we left on May 1st. I flew with the horses, and I was set up at Rodney Powell's yard before Houghton and Bramham. And Houghton rolled around, and it was, my first competition overseas. And it was a team, Nations Cup team made up of Caroline Martin, Catherine Coleman, and I. And that was absolutely phenomenal. It was sort of obviously my first team experience, and I didn't know how I'd react. I didn't know how the horse would react and under pressure. And it ended up being our first FOD at the FEI level, at the 3-star level at least. And we ended up clinching that silver medal, which was really exciting.
Yeah.
So after that, we headed on to Bramham, and dressage and the cross country was brilliant. She absolutely flew around and had a great clear cross country. And then unfortunately on the last day, the pounding had sort of made an abscess emerge that we didn't really know was in there, obviously. And so we weren't able to jump. And I sort of, took a step back and decided that I'd come all this way, and it's not exactly the note that I wanted to go home on. So I decided to scrape ourselves together and go after, something bigger in the fall, so we could actually go home and say we accomplished something. So from there, we decided to pack up and head over to Richard Sheen's in Ireland, as he's one of the very few people I knew quite well over there. And he and his crew really helped me prepare for the next CIC 3-star that I did, which was at Kilgikey, which got me qualified for Pau. So from there, I called up Liz Halliday and decided to head over there and have her sort of help me prepare for Pau, doing Mill Street and Little Downham along the way. And it's just been a really, really great experience being able to work alongside her. But, the tricky bit this summer has been having to really stay in the country and keep this horse going, and also fly back home and keep the other FEI horses going, because, there's no one else to do that. And they have to keep moving forward as well. I couldn't just abandon them. So it's been a lot of air miles and a lot of sleeps, a lot of nights lacking in sleep. And I'm just sort of appalled that we're actually at the end of it.
Yeah, it does. It goes by. You're like, oh, when is this going to end? Then you're like, wait, but it's over. Yeah,
it's over. I know. I can't believe it. But culminating at Pau, it was just a really wonderful experience. I know it's sort of unheard of for someone my age doing their first 4-star to do it abroad. And honestly, I wouldn't have had it really any other way. It was just such an amazing experience. we ended up heading down, catching a ride with fellow eventer Tom Crisp, who rides for Great Britain. And, there were 9 of us in the lorry and 2 horses.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a bit of a zoo. His family, his 2 kids. And honestly, it couldn't have been a better time. And, just absolutely incredible experience. But, Pau itself was pretty amazing in itself.
I love that show. Joe and I were there last year. I love that show.
We do. Max and I love it, don't we, Max?
We do.
Yeah.
The mussels and the bread.
Oh, the mussels, yes.
The wine and so good.
Weather was good too.
It was a bit cold.
Chilly.
It was really cold, yeah.
Yeah.
But, sort of worked in our favor in a way.
Yeah.
But,
so
it's just, I thought it was a really exciting competition for me and the horse, because obviously it was my first 4-star, and dressage hasn't been our strong suit. It's historically been our weakest phase. And
you went amazing. That was great.
I was working really hard in it. I thought we might be capable of something, but I hadn't thought we were capable of a 29 and a personal best. So I was pretty thrilled with that.
And then the cross country, it looks like you rode quite smart on the cross country, because your mare looks like she maybe got a little bit tired coming out of the race course, and you made some smart decisions to maybe just take some extra time to get home with a clear round.
Yeah, she was really, really game, and she tried her heart out for me, but sort of landed off the ditch and brush at around just after minute 7, I believe, and she just started landing a bit flat and not really moving across the distances as much, and so I sort of made some quick adjustments and ended up getting her home, around a minute over the time, which at the moment I was a bit disappointed with, but looking back on it, I mean, she could have hit so much more of a wall, and she could have stopped trying, but she never stopped trying for a minute, and I was really, really thrilled with her.
Yeah, mares do that. They just keep fighting for you. They're so groovy.
They really do.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And where is she now? Is she heading home, or what's she up to?
We shipped out from Chailey Stud, which is Liz Halliday's base here in the UK. The horse was shipped out at around 5:30 a.m. So
wow! So she's traveling with Liz's horses to America, right? I gotcha. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Oh, very cool. Wow. Mm-hmm. Whirlwind.
Yeah. No kidding.
And so she's having a holiday, and then is the plan to hopefully take her to Kentucky?
Fingers crossed. I don't want to say anything too soon, but hopefully, we might be able to head to Badminton.
Oh wow!
That's my goal. She's qualified now. You have to be top half of a 4-star or top third of a 3-star, I believe, and so she's qualified now from Pau, and honestly, that would be my first choice, because I would love to do that and then end up staying here in the UK afterwards.
So you've obviously really enjoyed your time over there and been getting a lot out of that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even in this short time and being back and forth so much, I know I haven't gotten all that much training or anything in like that, but the bar here is raised so much, competing against William Fox Pitt and Chris Burton and all these people every day, it's a whole different story than in the US, and it just really rubs off on you, as you can see from, the quality of the dressage scores and etc. It's really, really interesting to see, and I'm not really ready to give that up yet.
Good. That's good. Wow. And then and you head back here and we'll be here in beautiful sunny, as Joe and I say, beautiful sunny, gorgeous Ocala, Florida.
Yes. I'm in Ireland for the night, and then tomorrow I head back home so I can run the horses that are going to the jockey club in the Rocking Horse this weekend. So no rest for the wicked. From
Pau to Rocking Horse.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, isn't it? You go to someplace big and you come back to your old staple. It's actually probably pretty nice to come back to someplace you know really well and feel comfortable, takes a little bit of the pressure off, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I am looking forward to it. It's been such a stressful summer, and I'm looking forward to sort of settling back into a real routine, because that's something that's been really lacking. And the horses here really deserve the priority as well, and they're really, really quality horses for the future. So I'm really looking forward to getting back on them and chugging along.
Very good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Hallie, thank you for joining us again, and finally getting onto. You've worked so extra hard to get onto the line with us, listeners. You have to know that we've been trying to call Hallie because she is in Europe and probably getting quite late there, and we just had to run through a lot of hoops. But it was great when we finally got to hear her voice.
Yeah,
We will, we'll see you for sure at the Jockey Club, and Joe, you'll probably see her this weekend at. I'm
gonna see Hallie on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
good.
I know. Be back down to little old rocking horse.
Yes.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Which
Exactly.
I'm excited actually because I've got a bunch of lovely young horses and things and stuff, and it's great. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Hallie. Yeah. Go on.
Hopefully I'll get bucked off after one day of riding my horses before an
Yeah. Well, there is that.
That does happen.
Wouldn't that just be fit?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It would be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Very good.
All right.
Very good. Well, safe travels home, and hopefully all the horses get here safely as well. And we will see you soon.
Great. Thank you so much. And thanks for
Hallie.
having me.
Okay.
Thanks, Hallie.
All right.
Thanks, Hallie.
Bye.
The Eventing Riders Association of North America is the collective voice of riders, equine professionals, and owners in pursuit of enhancing the growing sport of eventing in North America. In cooperation with our members, governing bodies, related committees, and organizers, ERA of NA works to improve the overall welfare, safety, visibility, and growth of the sport. ERA of NA, your voice matters for the sport of eventing. Jump in and engage by becoming a member today. Find them online at www.eraofna.com.
And joining us now is a very dear old friend of mine who is an expert on winter care. Welcome to the show, Emma Ford.
Thank you very much for having me, Max. How's it going?
So it's good. I mean, and how's it going for you? You've just arrived home fresh from Pau over the weekend.
Yes, not quite the outcome we were hoping for, but happy to say that rider and horse are going to be fine. So you got to be thankful for that.
Exactly, and because we both know that it's happened. It doesn't always happen that way. So yes, indeed, it's a bummer. But as long as everybody's fine and ready to fight another day, that is true. But 2 a.m. coming home is it's always always fun. It's the glamour part of our job, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Emma, it's starting to get cold up there. It's starting to get cold in lots of parts of the world and the countries. Let's talk a little bit about clipping and blanketing and all that kind of stuff of what these guys, what do people need to know when it comes? We'll start with clipping. Let's talk about that, and then that can lead into the blanketing. What are some of the biggest problems that happen with people clipping their horses, and what are ways to fix that?
I think the number one issue, or the questions I get asked most, are when should I clip? Why should I clip? And I think people need to take into consideration their own individual needs and what they're doing during the day. So what one horse might do in Florida might need clipping is very different to a horse that's in Massachusetts doing the same thing. And I think that's very important. And also sort of looking forward to over the next couple of months, what is the horse's turnout situation? Does it have to live out at night? Does it live out 24/7? Does it get to come in the barn at night and only go out during the day? So there's a lot of factors to consider before you actually decide to clip your horse. Don't just if you're in Massachusetts, you're not going to clip your horse out completely if it lives out overnight. You obviously need to have some protection on that horse when it comes to his legs and his face. So those are definitely the important questions to ask yourself.
And talk us through a little bit the different types of clipping. I mean, there's the full body clip and trace clips and sort of all types of things that you can adjust to your horse, isn't there?
Yeah, and my advice to anybody is, if it's your first time, always remove less hair than more hair, because you can always take it off, but it takes a while to grow back. So, if you decide, if you are someone that maybe lives up north and maybe rides only 4 times a week or 5 times a week, you only may need to do a trace clip, which takes out the belly and the neck, sort of the areas they get sweaty, but then at the same time it's nice, it keeps their backs warm. You don't have to change the blankets so much. But, if you're going Florida for the winter and, maybe you do indoor or shows, jumper shows and all the rest of it, you might decide that you need to fully clip your horse so that he is easier to take care of. And, they cool out a lot quicker.
Yeah. And then, with one thing, and then, for actually doing your clipping, I mean, what is it better to, do you think it's better to hire someone to do it for you if you're not sure how to do it, and working around the horses with clippers and all that kind of stuff if you've got a horse you don't know very well? Where do you start? That's such a wide angle. Yeah. If you are a first-time clipper, then two pieces of advice. Do not do it by yourself. Always have someone around. And number two, make sure you give yourself plenty of time. It's not a situation you want to rush. And really read up or go to a seminar. It's something I cover a lot in our clinics, of how to introduce clipping to your horse. You always want to, I always try and approach any horse the first time as if I have no idea how it's going to react, because you just don't know in the situation. If you don't have time and you are someone that is, you've got a busy schedule, then there are obviously professionals out there that are happy to come in and can do a very good job, and probably in a quarter of the time that it actually takes you. So, yeah. Obviously that's your choice. You might, a lot of people, because they only have one horse, they just maybe don't want to buy the clippers needed to, do for body clipping, and would rather have someone come in once a year and just do it, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. Right. And go ahead, Joe.
I've got a question. And my question is, legs or no legs?
Oh God! If I could have $1 for every time I've been asked that. Yes. Again, it comes for me.
You give me your opinion, and then I'm going to tell you mine. All right?
Okay. Well, number one, I'm going to say it's a very gray area. Number two, I am someone that my upper level horses that go south always get their legs taken off for aesthetics reasons. I like them to have the look of being clipped out. If you are someone and has the time to take care of the horse properly and thoroughly dry their legs, leaving their legs on is not necessary. It's not a bad thing. But you can't be, you've got to absolutely make sure you are towel drying their legs before you put away. Having long hair on damp legs is what causes a lot of the scratches issues that we see during the winter months. And then again, it comes down to, is your horse turned out overnight in below freezing weather or not? So do you want protection for them when they're outside, or is your horse, in at night and just goes out during the day when it's a bit warmer? So I'm not going to give you any black and white answers, basically.
No. Well, I mean, so when I lived in England, eventers were legs on, and we clip from the top of the legs upwards. Always leave a saddle patch on, and I think and someone please answer that question. Why do we leave a saddle patch on?
I think it's supposed to protect the skin. I don't know, because it is an area that actually, in the winter when it's really dry and everything, and the saddle pad can rub on it and cause some rubs and the hair can go away. But at the same time, I've also had it where it doesn't dry completely and it's caused sores.
Yeah, but that wouldn't happen to you, Max. It wouldn't happen to Max because she'd make sure it was dried and curried.
Right, but I'm not always the person putting my horses away. That's the problem. And Emma can vouch for that too, because it just, sometimes somebody else is riding the horses or you're having a day off and like you come in the next day and you're like, God damn it.
Well, I mean, for me, clipped out legs looked fantastic, but they're a lot more work. And I know it's something that is done in show jumpers and stuff. It's for horses that stay in stables more, that aren't getting wet but are then thoroughly dried afterwards. I think for horses that are being turned out at night in Florida, for instance, the legs can stay on and it just makes the horse a little bit easier to look after. And that's just, going from there. I'll tell you one little story.
I actually don't mind sometimes if you clip the first time you clip everything off because the fur gets so bloody thick and everything. And then maybe the second time you can leave it depending on the level your horses are going. And that way, at least, because it's hard to manage a leg. If you got that really heavy woolly bit and your horse has got a bump on it, it's kind of hard to see.
That's absolutely right, Max. And I think that it a little bit depends on the horse. We had one horse in training that was more Irish. It was an Irish draft cross, but trying to be an eventer, of which he did very well. He went up to 2-star. He was fantastic. But in the wintertime, I got laughed out of the place if I left his legs on, okay, because he looked lonely without his cart. So we had to take the legs off him because otherwise it was just crazy. But I think it's probably it's a bit of personal preference. I think the key is
it's individual.
Yes,
it's individual. You have to know how much care you can take, and if you have the time to take proper care of it, or whether it's going to be more efficient for you to leave them on. I really do think it comes down to individual. I've got one horse I cannot clip the legs on. Like I've done it twice, and he's broken out both times, and so I don't do it now. And he's an intermediate horse, so I just you learn from doing it the first time.
Then you really learn the second time.
So I'm just going to share one little experience that I've had, which was we were heading from England to Portugal to go to an event, and the horses had been clipped, and my groom said, I really want to take the legs off, and I'm like, okay, no problem. And she did it just like a couple of days before we traveled. Now, what happened was once we got down there into the warmth and the heat and the sand, all those little nicks and cuts and bits and pieces just that exploded. Are microscopic and you don't see when you're clipping, they cause some infection and some nasty little things. So I think that one bit of advice I would give, that if people are coming down from the north part of America, or are heading towards the sun and the sand, and you really want to clip the horse's legs, do it in a timely way. Do it a couple of weeks beforehand so that the horse has got that time to, you don't even know that these little nicks are there. They don't know they're there. And so time before you come down to the warmth and, save yourself that trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely good advice.
Definitely. So Emma, if you had to
just clipping before competitions, don't do it the day before a competition.
No, God.
Just in case the horse has a reaction or something,
Yeah,
so.
Because I've had that. You probably have gotten that same panic phone call from a student. My horse is broken out in hives, and we leave for Kentucky tomorrow. What can I put on him? I'm like, well,
okay, well, all right. Hey, well, ladies, here's one. On my first trip to badminton when I was a very small boy, 1992, we got there, and a lot of people were doing the dressage and going back to the stables and clipping the horses.
Yeah.
Explain that one.
Max, I'm leaving that to you.
Is it? Well, I think it's because what I'm going to say is probably I'd let Max do that, okay?
Yeah.
Because she's so awesome.
Well, I think,
at clipping.
I think basically, oh God, no, I'm a terrible clipper. I happened to get really lucky clipping your horse last year at Pau.
Right.
I think sometimes with the weather forecast, you're not completely convinced that it's going to be that warm, and sometimes too. Horses, not unlike our dear Clippy, might actually like a bit more fur on them when they're going to do their dressage and not have the cold wind straight up their butts. Come time for, when it comes time to do your dressage. And so then, but it's going to be a bit warm. So you take that coat off. And then sometimes you have a horse that's maybe doesn't sweat very well. Maybe you've got a horse that is a bit of a heavier type that needs all the help it can get to get through the next day. So it would not be my favorite thing to do, but sometimes you need to do it. And, again, then I never would clip legs on that type of a thing, on that situation. Something you try to avoid, I would think, wouldn't you? Not to try to do something at the show.
Yeah, I'm complete with you, Max. I try very hard not to be in a situation where you feel you need to be clipping them at a show. So, and I do know people do that over here because they feel, I completely agree that some riders feel their horses are going to be more fidgety if they're clipped. And then
but really, in the end of the day,
but
End of the day.
As a groom, I would never recommend it.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So Emma, favorite, if someone was calling you to ask you about buying clippers, what's a good pair of clippers, a good universal thing that people can type that you can buy?
My go-to clippers now are called the Andis Pulse VRs. They are cordless, and nice. You can change the blade on them. So you could put, like I like to clip with a T84 blade.
Right.
I can put any blade on there I want. You can have a 10 wide. You can put on your 40s to do, muzzles and ears if that's what you want to do. Cordless to me is, it's sped my clipping up probably at least by half an hour.
Yeah.
And,
do they not overheat? They stay pretty cool.
They stay cool as long as you're on top of oiling them. And the good thing they've got the lithium battery, so when they start to lose charge, they don't actually lose power. There's a light that tells you they start to lose charge.
I gotcha. So you don't get that
they don't lose. Yeah. They just cut out. They don't actually lose power as you go, which is obviously a very important thing.
Yeah.
They will last 2 hours. So for me, that's if I am full body clipping, that's good. I can get most horses done in 2 hours.
Yeah.
However, obviously, if you are a slower clipper, then that might not be might not be something you want to pick. But I cannot talk enough about them. Like whenever people ask, I'm like, you get these, it covers everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Do they have a variable speed?
They do. They're actually 5-speed.
Wow.
Right. Because that was a game changer for me when I first came over here. I hadn't seen variable speed clippers, and I think it's a really cool thing to have, especially if you're introducing clipping to a horse. You can put it on low and just quietly get them going, and then once they're used to it, you can turn it up like full bore and really get into it.
Yeah. And also, for the different types of coats you have, like sometimes you want to slow down and have a bit more torque. So I mean, it's real. Like I say, for me, they work with every horse I have. They're great. They run quiet anyway. So if you do have a slightly nervous horse, you can. They're just
gone are the days of those big gigantic things to lift weights to friggin' use.
Yeah.
And all the air blowing in your face and, contact lenses.
Yeah, exactly. None of that. So they are a blessing.
I've still got a pair of those, Max.
Yeah. They're
chuck them out.
But oh my God, you'd finish and I'm like, God, why does my arm hurt so bad? These damn. Just like God.
Your arm hurts and your hands are shaking.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually, if someone gave me a set of those oysters or sunbeams now, I would probably not be able to clip a horse. Like I just am so used to the lightweight ones. I'd look at them and be like, oh wow.
Yeah, they were definitely designed by a man because my hand could never really properly get around it.
Right. Well, and I think, I'm like, oh, well, I'll put some sheep with these now, but
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Or fish and sheep, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. So what other tips do you have if you're going to go clip your horse? So you always want a clean horse.
Yes, I think, that is number one. And even if it is in the dead of winter, you do have, and, maybe you do not have a warm wash hot water available, but you could still heat up some water and,
like
do a good curry session with a hot towel. And I actually like to use a product called Shapley's #1 oil, and I put it in a bucket of hot water, like maybe let's say half a cupful, quarter of cupful.
Okay.
Put it in hot water, towel them, and really towel it in, and it leaves a nice. It leaves a clean coat, but it leaves a bit of a slick coat. So it actually helps the clippers to move, or the blades to move through the coat. And so it's definitely, just because you don't have hot water for a bath or whatever, there's definitely options you can use. But if, ultimately, you always want to be washing your horses.
Do you like to hot towel them when you're done too?
Yeah, if I don't have, I will actually wash, properly bathe them after a clip and use apple cider vinegar as a rinse to make sure I pick up all the grease and
how much of that do you use?
Oh God, there's no scientific
You just sort of
no. I mean, is it a bit in a
glug,
bucket,
glug.
or is it just, or is some on a rag? I mean, what?
No. Let's say you've got a 5-gallon bucket. I'd probably put in
a couple big glugs.
Four cupfuls, should we say?
Yeah.
4 to 5-gallon bucket, something like that.
That stuff is magic.
And so no, I love me some apple cider vinegar.
Smell like potato chips.
And I think the key there too is, make sure it's the organic kind. I think a lot of people go out and buy your cheap Walmart brand, and that actually doesn't have any. You actually need the enzymes from the apple that helps the skin.
Right.
So make sure you need to go out and buy the good variety. Yes, it's a bit more expensive, but
you get what you pay for.
Okay.
Exactly.
Organic apple cider.
Yes. And you can put it in a spray bottle too. If you've got one that gets Hy-Vee, you can put it in a spray bottle and spray it straight on them.
Yeah.
It's good.
And plenty out there this time of year for Halloween.
Yeah,
so.
No kidding. And then, so with the clipping, because this is something that always makes me a little frustrated when you see people that have clipped their horses, but then they don't put any clothes back on them. And I've always said, if you're wearing a jacket, your horse should be too.
Yes. That's sort of my rule of thumb, is what I tell everybody. I'm like, if you're in 5 layers, then your horse probably needs at least 2 to 3 layers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they do get to move around, but there's so many different things that, factors that go into blanketing the horses. And I think one of the big things, that's one of the things that people talk about too, legs or no legs, is like, does an unclipped horse actually need a blanket?
I am a believer in that it doesn't need, obviously horses have been around for God knows how many years, and they've survived.
Right.
And I actually don't believe in putting blankets on fully unclipped horses. Yeah. Now then, if you have a thoroughbred up in Massachusetts and it doesn't grow a warm coat, coat,
right, yeah,
then you might want to go. But one of my pet peeves is people under that situation, they'll go out and buy a lightweight sheet.
Right.
And and that drives me insane, because ultimately all that is doing is flattening the coat and not providing any warmth. So if you are in that situation, you need to at least go to a 400-gram blanket, 500-gram blanket, with some sort of fill that traps the air to keep them warm. So,
because it's just a sheet on it. Yeah. I mean, if it's
the sheet makes them more cold. And that drives me insane.
No, I totally. Completely agree with that.
Yeah. And then, there obviously are so many blanket choices out there with, in different money ranges. Like you really do have a good pick. And, but no, having a cold horse, I think I hate seeing them when their coat's standing on end because they're so cold.
Yeah. And I think also too, people forget, like, your horses are getting turned out. They're like, oh, well, they're moving around. But if there's rain or wind or something and they don't have any shelter, that's a big difference, isn't it? I mean, that can really drop their body temperatures down.
Yes, and they need to, under those circumstances, again, leaving half their faces on. Don't be clipping all their faces, so they've got their own natural protection. Leaving their legs on, and then making sure they've got good access to roughage, either hay or some sort of roughage, so that their insides are always creating energy to keep them warm on the outside. Yeah.
Because it is tough. I mean, sometimes people clip, he's just had a trace clip. He doesn't need a blanket. I'm like, well, that's their belly and their neck, and that's where they stay warm. Granted, they probably don't need much of a blanket, but yes, they still need one.
Yeah. And the other thing I sort of find funny is, like, people nowadays will go and buy a heavy without a neck, and I'll be like, well, if you're using a heavy, how about you have the neck anyway?
I know. I believe that the necks on those rugs really do keep them, because the heat can't trap out of them. And
yes, that's my feeling.
I like those ones that have got the neck attached already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the one that's
heavy blanket.
Yeah. And then
you
don't have to have them. They don't fall off as much and get caught on the fence as much. All the big long one-piece ones.
Yeah.
The ones I used to use.
No. Yeah. Because then they're less to tear apart, and and then if someone was trying to wanting to someone's just bought their first horse and they're gonna ride it all year and they want a set of rugs, what would you suggest people to get?
Oh, well, you won't hear me say anything but horseware blankets, the Rambo series.
Right.
I ought to be salesperson for them. I just think the quality of their blankets lasts for a lifetime. I mean, I can honestly say I'm still using blankets that were here 10 years ago at Phillips Barn. And then the fit, they're so easy to fit to multiple types of horses. And they are super tough. And then if you are a one-person type horse and they do a great range where you can add the layers. So you're only buying one blanket, but it might have 3 different layers.
Right. Yeah.
So, and you can always wash the underlayer. So there's always a clean layer next to your horse. So they just have so many options to, if you, according to your price range and size of horse and fit of horse. So to me, I just wouldn't recommend any of those.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Really, it's not worth going.
Yeah.
Again, you get what you pay for.
Exactly. Absolutely. Okay. And then because you and I have this same passion about this, what is your biggest blanketing pet peeve?
Are we on about the leg straps?
Yes. Makes me nuts when people don't do them up.
Oh, dear. It's so unsafe. And, one of the reasons I love the Rambos because they don't have leg straps.
Right.
But, anybody that has blankets with leg straps, it just drives me insane. And I always tell the story of a working student didn't do the leg straps up and she threw a blanket on whilst I was holding it for a vet. And the leg straps got caught in the fan and the fan was spinning because of the wind. And obviously, needless to say, it was a disaster. The horse ran the vet over. And it takes less than 5 seconds to do it back up.
And how many times have we thrown the blanket over and the leg strap hits you in the head?
Yeah. Or
exactly.
And you've done it up in the fence.
Right. Or
you
do it and you're standing on it and you can't get the leg strap. Yeah.
What is the correct way to do up the leg straps when the rug is on?
Back to the same. I do it back to the same side.
Always.
And then crisscross them.
And looped through.
That's how I do it.
We've had a few people
I don't think it. To me, I'm with Max. I prefer that way. But if you prefer the other way, fine. But as long as they've got to be crossed, don't just do them back to the same side and not cross them in the middle.
No, they've got to be back. That's how we were taught in New Zealand. Back to the same side and loop through between the legs. Okay, and then you undo them, and then you do them back up so you don't get hit in the head when you throw it back.
Oh, just one of those things.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
101, Max.
I know. Okay. It's just one of those things. Emma says it. I'm like, yes, thank you. Emma agrees. Yes. Listen to Emma. Yeah. Oh my God. All right. So here's another thing. Now we're getting to this time of year when the weather's, everything's getting colder. Their water buckets are getting colder. And this time of year, we start to see a couple of colics, don't we? Some impaction colics and stuff. What are really good tips for some people that maybe their horses aren't getting outdoors enough, moving around enough to make sure these guys are drinking enough water and keeping healthy? A couple of things I like to try and impart on people is anytime it's below 35 degrees, I actually always wet all my grain. I make it a bit of a warm, not quite a soup, but a bit of a mash for them to get more water into them. And then also if unfortunately, we have automatic waters here, but during the really cold season, I'll give them all a warm bucket of water last thing at night to try and get. A lot of horses will drink warm water, better versus
than
cold. Yeah,
make sure they get more water.
Horses get brain freezes, like we do. I always wonder. I'm like, oh God, yeah. I mean, that would be so terrible.
Yeah. And then you could wet hay if they're happy to wet hay. You could soak some hay and get a little bit more water into them that way. And for my tricky ones that I know don't drink much water, I'll actually put a handful of sweet feed into a bucket of warm water. And if they're good eaters, they'll be happy to slurp down a whole bucket of water.
Yeah, and they do, and it actually does work, doesn't it? I mean, that actually works quite well. Yeah. Because it's definitely something to keep an eye on, isn't it? Because it really can. Again, the winter months, everything slows down.
Well, it's kind of like when there's a cold snap, though, isn't it? I mean, it's when you go from normal to cold.
Yeah.
And suddenly the horses, and it catches you unawares, and it can happen to, the people that know and stuff, but the people that don't know. But basically, the rule is horses get cold, they stop drinking water if they get cold quickly. And so that's what you've got to be aware of, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Always be looking ahead, looking ahead at the weather, what's it doing. Don't be caught out by not knowing what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also saying that too, I mean, I know you guys, when you're in Aiken, the grass goes pretty quickly, and here in us in Florida, even though we got grass growing, a lot of times that is not necessarily enough forage and roughage for these horses that, you may need to add hay to the paddocks for them to get any kind of nutrition. The hay, the grass just loses its nutrition. It may still be there, but you got nothing. It's just sort of air that they're chewing on.
Yeah. And I'm someone I probably do waste hay. Like, I want them to have hay in front of them 24/7.
Right.
I'm not someone that is like, well, they can have one flake now, one flake at lunch, and two flakes,
Right. I mean, your big fatty ones for sure is one thing, but again, these guys are working and burning calories, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't tend to restrict their hay, and if I do have a picky eater, then maybe I'll go to alpha hay and just try and get whatever forage I can into them.
Yeah, because it fuels the fire.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Well, we use those big Tifton rolls actually, and we have found that they have been fantastic because they are coarse enough to provide fiber and enough for the horses to chew on and things like that. This is out in the paddocks. I know bringing them inside, but once in the big pastures, once the grass goes properly off, you can put out these large rolls, and then we've got the ones that's for some of the real good doers, and then for some of the other ones, we put out those those very large alfalfa Timothy or Timothy Orchard or something, those massive big ones.
Yeah.
Put those out into the paddock, because it's just a lot easier than taking flakes of hay out every day,
Right.
So
yeah.
And it seems to work well.
Yeah.
I mean, hay is an expensive commodity down here in Florida, and so we've got to be a little bit, just a little bit frugal, I guess, about how we feed it.
I wouldn't say frugal, maybe just wise.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to. The wrong word came out, Max.
Yeah,
That's all.
it's all right. Okay. Yeah. I was like, don't everybody think that Joe's cheap. He's just being wise.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to help you out there. That's all good. So, listeners, if you guys, Emma has written a book with her friend Kat Hill, and they do clinics all over the country. Emma, tell people where they can find your book and look for your clinics.
Well, the book is world-class grooming, so that's easy. Just go online and you can pretty much find it anywhere. And actually, if people want a signed copy for Christmas, they can email me and I will get them that.
Excellent. And how do they find you?
And the easiest way to find us is www.worldclassgrooming.com. And there's a contact page, and you can just email us, and me and Kat will answer you as quick as we can. And yet Kat's just actually come back from a clinic in Texas, and I'm doing a clinic in Massachusetts next week. So we're getting a little busy with it, actually.
That's good. Exactly. And this is something that I've been so passionate about, is for people to have this education of people, because a lot of people are learning how to rod later in life, and a lot of the instructors are instructing and not teaching people how to take care of their horses. So these clinics teach you guys about a little bit of everything, and they're fantastic. So everybody that has been to one has really enjoyed it. So check it out. And I mean, you do a series also in Aiken too, don't you? You're going to do one this winter. Am I talking ahead of myself, or it's something you did maybe at home and maybe a once a week type thing?
So this past summer, I tried out doing like a mini series, and through July, just every Monday, I had a group of people come, and we did 3 hours. And I actually went out. It worked out really well. And I am hoping to do. I probably won't do I did 4, a full month's worth, but I am hoping to get a couple done in Aiken, and I might be in Wellington for a bit, so maybe I can come to Ocala and do some.
Yeah, that'd be good. And with that information, people would find that again on your World Class Grooming website.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep. That's the easiest way to look up what we're doing.
Super. Excellent. Well, Emma, we're going to let you go and get some sleep and all that kind of good stuff and get back onto the correct time zone, and because it's probably getting pretty late for you, my friend. And but thank you so much for coming and talking to us and helping everybody out and teaching everybody a little something.
Not a problem. I always enjoy helping where I can.
Well, Max, that's very interesting, all that rugging and clipping and stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff to know about. And again, like people that look after their own horses, a lot of people now are, they didn't grow up in a barn like the rest of us. They are learning, and people are just too busy to teach people, and that's tough too. So that was good just to think about. It's good stuff to think about. And for parents, when the kid says, "I need a blanket," that's like actually they do. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my dad taught me how to clip.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. And, well, he was a champion shearer, believe it or not, Max.
Was he? Oh,
yes.
I think I knew that. I think I did know that. Yes. And that's a lot of work.
Yes, he was a blade shearer. He holds a world record. Unbelievable. Now, he taught me how to clip, and I said, well, how's your clipping, Dad? When I was quite young, he said, I'm fast, but I'm rough. And he was, but anyway, but he was the one that showed me the ins and outs of it and how to go against the grain and do bits and pieces and that sort of thing, so yeah, you got to learn.
Yes, exactly.
And it is a really good skill to have. And I think the only thing that we missed is if you want to learn, just get someone in that knows what they're doing and can teach you, because with time and patience, it's a really good skill.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, Max, anyway, it has got to that time where we need to run back out into the sunshine. So
we need a little bit more vitamin D. A little bit more vitamin D. Yes,
and if you could do the end of the show, that would be fantastic.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks so much for listening to the Eventing Writers Association of North America podcast. You can learn more about Eventing Writers Association of North America at eraofna.com. You can find the links to today's guests and topics at eventingradio.com. Follow Eventing Radio on Facebook. Just search The Eventing Radio Show, and on Twitter at Eventing Radio. Listen to The Eventing Radio anytime, anywhere with a free Horse Radio Network app for iPhone and Android. Go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network. You can also subscribe via iTunes. Thanks again to our title sponsor, Bit of Britain. This is Max, and you can find me on Facebook, Max Corcoran Horse Care. You can find me... Where else can you find me? You can find me on Twitter at MMC338 and on Instagram at MMC338. But I haven't put any pictures up in a while. I got to do that. And you can find me on my blog, Max Corcoran WordPress, and you can find me sunning myself in this glorious sunshine.
Thanks. Well, this is Joe, and you can find me on my website, joemeyerEventing.com. You can find me on Facebook, Joe Meyer. You can follow me on Twitter, Joe Meyer, EVNTR, and Joe Meyer Eventing is my Instagram, I think. And I'm going to go and I'm a bit like you, Max. We're a bit like us over 30s, not so technically savvy. Anyway, and you'll find me at Majestic Oaks, our lovely cross-country schooling facility, in about 10 minutes teaching a cross-country lesson. So, but anyway, for now, listeners, we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks' time.
Bye, everyone.